Settling and Strengthening, a real skills workshop. And yeah, I'm honestly not all that settled.
Mm.
Just being real, right? And sometimes when you're here and you're going to be teaching, the universe has the way of showing up, and it showed up in a little tiny friend. I use that term uh, facetiously. I got a tick on the inside of my leg at some point, and last night at 11, I'm getting ready for bed, and there's that little booger. And this is after a week of being flooded by everyone we know talking about how the latest study from my zip code here in Asheville shows that 1/3 of all the ticks carry Lyme. Great. Now I have not had a tick uh, on me in and in my skin for at least 9 or 10 years. Even though I've walked 1,850 times out in the the forest. They don't seem to like be generally attracted to me. So here I am. Everyone's going to bed, and it shook me. Didn't start screaming or anything. It didn't like a taser, but it shook me. And the image that I've been having around this workshop is if you imagine a big jar, good solid glass jar, and it's got sand and pebbles and a couple rocks in it. And somebody comes and you love to look at it. It's right there on your desk, and you occasionally plop a flower in it. It's really nice. It's just very zen and calm. And then somebody comes along and just shakes. It's amazing how much shaking a little tiny deer tick can do. And your sand is all over, the rocks made lots of noise inside. And you might I got a little upset and started tapping at how upset I was.
Mm.
And yet the truth is that that little tick ticked me off. It really shook me. It unsettled me. And as we go forward, Kathy and I, we're going to be touching on things like, the outside world, including nature, including all the other things, including things that happen in our own body, can shake us up, unsettle us. And if it takes some, I do believe that there's a very natural kind of settling that happens unless somebody's sitting there, shaking you constantly or something inside is shaking you constantly, then it,
Sometimes we
you
shake ourselves, at least I know I do.
shake ourselves. So we're going to be looking at that. Is there something that we can do, some things that we can do, where some of the source of this is? And I'm delighted to be co-creating here with Kathy Bartuli from the Intimacy Dojo and Thriving Now. Do you ever get shaken, unsettled?
It's actually
Whatever happened to you?
this topic came up because I've shared it a number of times. I'm studying Buddhism, and I'm meeting with a teacher every week to help me with my studies. And he said, every time he's like, "How is your meditation going?" And I'm like, "It would really suck this week. I just couldn't settle." And he's like, "What are you trying to do?" And I'm like, "Be with my breath immediately." And he's like, like, "Get right there." And he's like, I've been doing this like 60 years. It's some amazing amount of time. And he's very aware. And he's like, "I don't do that. I just let myself be unsettled for a little bit. I just don't believe it. Like I kind of a meta awareness, but let myself be a little fussy, let my brain want to wiggle around, and then I just allow it to settle." And like I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I never really," that just kind of opened the door for me. Like, no one ever really taught me how to settle down. I just think I'm supposed to do it immediately. Like I'm supposed to go to bed and like flip a switch and be asleep. Why am I restless when I'm meditating? Why am I not? My God, today, like, I was meditating this morning with the Sangha, and I'm like, my God, my brain was like here, there, everywhere. And other days it'll just sink right in. And I think that it's really important, one, to realize that it's not always like a light switch. And two, to look at some of the things that are happening in our minds and our beliefs that may block ourselves. Because I know if I think I'm supposed to settle like this, and I'm not, I actually get more agitated and less settled because I'm like blaming and shaming myself, like, what's wrong? And I'm trying to force myself to do something when my brain's like, wait, what's going on? As opposed to like, oh, okay, here I am. And I love Thich Nhat Hanh talks about just being with our breath. He says, don't try to control it. Because when we
Mhm.
try to control it, especially for people that have trauma, it can be very, very triggering to try to control your breath. He's like, just be with this inhale right now. Just be with this exhale. Don't try to change the speed or the depth. Just be with it and be present with it. And it's going to naturally slow and deepen. But when we try to force it, we're actually doing ourselves a disservice. We can flood ourselves with adrenaline in not fun ways.
Yeah. It was- y- and these are invitations to please always know with Kathy and I that
Oh, yeah.
if we're saying take a breath, it's an invitation to, and it's an invitation. And so just take your breath, whatever, doesn't have to be deep, doesn't have to be anything other than your breath right now, if you want, and just notice. Now, mine had a sigh, not a sigh, but like a huff, And to me, it's one of the little clues that I notice as I'm starting to settle. And this is what we're part of the skill of this is to add some nuance to a lot of the affirmatives, like, oh, you just need to, sit down and follow your breath. As Kathy noted, for a lot of us, being told what to do,
It's not help.
it does not help. I'm a freedom oriented person. If you tell me, Rick, you just need to sit down and settle down. You know how to do that. I'd be like, the profanity that would naturally flow as I sought to shake them up. We can co-regulate and co-dysregulate too. No, right. So, but if you were trying to force the sand in the water to settle down to the bottom,
It's just get
you'd be
messier.
like,
Like you're
what
trying
am
to put it down, it stirs it up.
I don't, I'm splashing the water around, making it worse. That's the quality of forcing ourselves. And in emotional freedom work, there's this concept called allowing, which is like, oh yeah, I am shaken. And so if I'm sitting there and I'm shaken, and if you had a movie I could show you, I started pacing around. I'm not going to show you the movie, even if it existed. I was in my underwear, and I keep looking at my inner leg and this little black dot, and I'm like, "What?" And I just allowed myself to sit and stare at it. And you can probably imagine that going from pacing to sitting, it could have gone either way, right? It could have been like, I need to get this thing off of me. Like my primitive brain was open to going in that direction. And by looking at it, like, I need to figure out what this thing is and settling, like, oh, I'm going to take a photograph before I do anything else. And I took a close up photograph of the tick. Now, even recounting that, I can feel my nervous system settling. And what do we get there? Well, from a skill standpoint, I would say if you're walking around pacing, try sitting or even lying down or going down in all fours and barking, like something. We settle often by switching the state that we're in, that's where we're still being
Yeah,
shrink.
and actually, if you're in kind of a freeze mode, getting up and pacing or moving around can actually help you settle. It depends on where your nervous system is. And I think
I-
cool thing is we get to learn ourselves. I'm getting better at noticing the nuances of, oh, this is a get move around time. Oh, this is a sit quietly time. I don't always get it right, but I'm learning myself, which is cool.
which is why we do these workshops and practice it ourselves too, because these are skills and they're not. for me, I'm not a master of settling and strengthening.
No.
And it is as a practice really useful. And so with the workshop coming up today, last night, I'm thinking, I'm really unsettled. Now, one of the things I like about tapping is, and we use EFT tapping, if you're not familiar with it, boy, I'm excited for you. thrivingnow.com/tapping. We have a free guide and lots of resources. But tapping, guess what? If I'm sitting there like, and I start tapping any point, guess what you've done? You've just changed what's happening in your nervous system. You're moving in a different way. And if your body has been tapping for anxiety or fears or frustrations or self blame, what I noticed as soon as I just started tapping my collarbone point last night is that part of the shakeup was this feeling of I should have done a tick check the night before.
Mm.
Anyone else blame themselves when they get shaken out, right?
You should do something different. It's your own fault.
Yeah, I should. A should is a shake up. It has a shaking kind of quality to it. And just by tapping, yeah, I should have, and I didn't.
Can we just do a round? Can you just lead some tapping on that?
Yeah. So we start at the side of the hand usually, and we make a statement that feels true. Doesn't have to be true. Just feels like, even though I should have,
Even though I should have,
and I didn't.
and I didn't.
Dang.
Dang, what was I thinking?
Now what?
Now what?
I'm open to settling myself anyway.
I'm open to thinking about settling myself anyway.
To the head. I didn't.
I didn't.
Eyebrow. I should have.
I should have.
Side of the eye. Now I'm all unsettled.
Now I'm all unsettled.
And that's not a great look for me,
It's not a great look for me,
but it is where I am.
but it is where I am,
And it's okay.
and it's okay.
I'm open to settling a bit.
I'm open to settling a bit.
It's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement.
And I'd really like to feel my possibilities here,
I really like to feel my possibilities here,
including sitting here and not knowing.
including sitting here and not knowing.
Now, I didn't, I, that's, that's sort of a look at the energy of what I had, which was, I don't know what to do here. And I sat there settling, not knowing. Now, this workshop is about settling and strengthening. And as someone very nicely pointed out, if I settle, you can imagine perhaps that someone might just be so overwhelmed by what to do and what not to do and what's going to happen in the future from this little tiny tick that they might collapse, right? That was there as an option, right? Just like panic screaming is an option, descending into, shame that I hadn't tended to myself. Or so the strengthening part is, as I'm sitting there, I'm just letting myself feel a bit more upright. Okay. Just like settle and strengthen the yin, letting it settle and feeling for the jar, feeling for the rocks of us. The rocks didn't get bothered by they might have gotten moved around, banged into things, made noise. If I ended up a little bit more cracked than usual, that's pretty par for the course for me. I'm pretty cracked. But just allowing yourself to feel the container of you. And for me, the spine, just feeling my spine there. Sometimes I'll feel it a very subtle kind of lengthening, like subtle and strengthening. And I bring this up. We'll do more of these kinds of exercises as we go forward. But this is the savvy part of this real skill. I was always told to settle down, not just settle and strengthen. And I've noticed that my body and my nervous system is a lot more willing to settle if I'm also inviting a strengthening. It
I
could be a
think,
deepening. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
yeah. Transitions are hard anyway for most humans. The only people that like change are a wet baby, and sometimes they will fight you. And when we're transitioning to something positive, it's so much easier than just. I know when my early memory of my grandmother feeling probably pretty frustrated. I was a year and a half older than my little sister who had bad colic and was crying all the time. And she was trying to get me to sleep so she could tend her. And she's just like, close your eyes and you'll be asleep in no time. Just settle down, settle down. And it was like, I think the transition became more challenging because one, I was a little kid, I wanted to play, and like I was transitioning to sleep, which was not exciting, not strengthening myself. And because I didn't know how to do what she was saying, like my brain didn't just turn off the way she's like, close your eyes, you'll be asleep in no time. I'm like, I'm trying to keep my eyes closed, but they want to see what's going on, and there's noises going around. And I learned to be uncomfortable with that transition into settling down. And I think there is some discomfort, but I think there's added discomfort when, for me, if I don't know how to do something and I see like people expect me to know how to do it, I really should on myself. I really can kind of like, oh my God, everyone else seems to know how to do this thing. I actually think most of them are faking it, pretending, but because my family in general doesn't know how to settle down. But I didn't know that. Like I'm, looking mirror neurons, seeing how they're reacting, and they're not. They look seem to be like they close their eyes. They look quiet, and I'm like, oh, I should know how to do this. There's something wrong with me, and that added a lot of stress to that transition. So like when I go to settle, I love the idea of and strengthen and something like we're heading towards something nice. But I think also if we can learn to be with the discomfort, but also lighten the discomfort a little, we can make that whole transition so much easier.
Do you do some tapping on that kind of disorientation? Because I think that's a part of this whole energy.
Yeah. Yeah. I invite you if something comes to you, just kind of hold that in mind. You can jot it down on a post-it note or whatever. Because sometimes there's our once we consciously realize that that's where an anchor point is, a memory or a belief came in, when we start flailing around and like, oh, this is something I learned when I was 2 or 3. Grandma was trying to get me to sleep, and she was pretty frustrated with me, and I thought I was a bad kid, but I'm not a bad kid. Grandma's not here right now. Just kind of consciously connecting with that anchor point can really help dissolve some of this stuff going on. And I just invite you to be with your body for a moment. If that feels good, take a gentle breath. See if you can notice that if your mind's very busy, that's fine. Your mind is welcome here just as it is. And if you can notice where you're like, how does your butt feel in the chair? What's the temperature in the room? Noticing some of those sensing things can help you just get here and now and out of, I live in my head. I love to live in my head, but being in my body is a very nice thing too. So invite you to tap along as it feels good. Nice deep breath. Yeah. Even though I learned really early on,
Even though I learned really early on,
I was supposed to be able to settle myself.
I was supposed to be able to settle myself.
And they often said it in a kind of impatient tone.
And they always said it in an impatient tone.
And I just didn't know how to do it.
I didn't really know how to do it, how to feel it, how to be it.
They never explained what that meant.
It never explained what it meant.
And I couldn't even copy them because they weren't really doing it either.
And I couldn't copy them because they weren't doing it either.
Kids are great at copying other people, but only when they actually know how to do it.
Kids are great at copying people, but only when they know really how to do it.
Top of that, it was really disorienting.
It was so disorienting.
I blamed myself
I blame myself, of course.
at the side of the eye, and that did not help me settle.
And that did not help me settle.
Under the eye, no one ever said, "Hey, it's okay to feel a little disorganized at first."
No one ever said it was okay to feel disorganized at first.
Under the nose, no one ever said it's okay to have a busy mind.
No one said it was okay to have a busy mind.
Chin, what if it's okay to have that busy mind?
What if it's okay to have that busy mind?
Collarbone, and I can breathe and just be with that mind.
I could breathe and be with that mind.
Under the arm, hey, it's kind of busy in here.
Hey, it is kind of busy in here.
Top of the head, but I don't have to necessarily believe what my brain says.
I don't have to believe what my brain always says.
Eyebrow, I can just listen to the busyness.
You can listen to the busyness.
Side of the eye, and notice that my mind is often really busy.
Notice that my mind is often really busy.
Under the eye, feels very important.
Feels very important.
Under the nose, and it's okay to let myself relax a little bit right now.
And it is okay to let myself relax a bit right now.
I can allow it, not force it.
I can allow it, not force it.
Collarbone, what if I let that busy mind relax just a little bit?
What if I let that busy mind relax a little bit?
Under the arm, I don't have to be there right this second.
I don't have to be there this second.
Top of that, I can allow myself to transition.
I can allow myself to transition.
And just take a gentle deep breath. Notice what's coming up for you. Maybe, some of you may be like, oh, that feels great. And other people like, no, I can't do that. Or you might be remembering a time when someone pushed you to settle down or you felt like you needed to. Oh, that's all useful.
Using my jar again, I just during that time I got a picture of where I would be really excited, okay? And it was too much. And so they would shake me energetically, not necessarily physically, but like, Ricky, be quiet. Now, for me, who really felt like I needed to be a good boy, any kind of criticism was like a really big shake. And I discovered something that makes sense energetically to me now. If I drain my life force away, guess what happens? The sand and everything else is settled down pretty quickly, isn't it? But you don't have any juice left. You don't have you don't have that fluidity anymore. You're just it's a jar, still your jar. The rocks and sand and stuff are kind of down at the bottom, but where's the flow?
You're not in parasympathetic renewal relaxing. You're in collapse, submit, I'll be quiet so they won't yell at me, relaxing. Or being quiet.
Yep.
It's not renewing.
So then you have to kind of allow yourself maybe to fill a bit back up.
Mhm.
And that's where if I'm if I'm looking at settling and strengthening, there's a part of me that is allowing myself to settle. And as a subtle feeling, the question I sometimes ask is gravity working? Now that's an invitation for me to do what Kathy was saying, feeling your sit bones, noticing how do you know that gravity is working? Do you have to work to stay in your chair? Or if not, let yourself feel that gravity actually can hold us more. My butt tends to resist gravity, like keeps a little bit of a tight ass kind of thing. And so part of my practice is to let gravity do a little more of the work. And in that, my legs feel a settling too. Again, if you look at it nervous system wise, if a muscle is tight, what you're getting is a pretty constant signal, tight, 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 right? It's a vibration in there, a signaling that says, keep working, keep working, keep working,
I
keep
feedback.
working.
I might have to run really fast right now. I'm not, lions and tigers.
So any kind of subtle message or inquiry into your body, like, oh, is it gravity working? How would I know? Oh, well, I could be a little bit less of a tight ass. I'm really letting you guys into my world. This is and even my elbows on the arms of the chair.
Down the floor.
If I let the contact point, if I let myself settle into the contact point, what happens upstream toward the top of the jar? My brain starts floating more. My shoulders start floating more. And if I then bring, and I can do it with a breath or just the visualization of my spine, the strengthening to me is physiologically, there's a energy rising in my spine just to strengthen it. It's like, oh, my spine has structure to it and ligaments. They're different than the muscles that move me. They hold me together. And if I allow those to strengthen, this pole at the back of my head can actually relax. This is where the primitive brain predominantly is in the at the top of the spine. It gets first crack at everything. Any sensation here of like, oh, settle and strengthen, the primitive brain does get a message like, oh, yeah, we're not bracing, we're strengthening. Strengthening is good. Regardless of what happens, my primitive brain goes, yeah, stronger is better than, unless, you're collapsing, because that's your strategy to survive, which I learned as a child. And I can't think of situations now where collapsing really is to my benefit or to anyone else's. Maybe you have a few, which we can honor as like real life, but settling and strengthening is we want it to be something that allows the upper part of us to clarify, to, and our heart to start feeling stronger and more solid. A hand on my heart, if I'm feeling very anxious, like last night, there was a point where I went in and asked for help, and that was very vulnerable. My partner needs her sleep, and I said I could really use your help with this, with a tick. And then I quietly closed the door. She was helping our boy go to sleep. And I went back in the other room and I just put my hand on my heart. My heart was just uncertain. When you ask for help and it hasn't arrived yet, even though you're absolutely certain, like my heart was, my head knew that she was coming, just not quite yet. My heart was like, very unsettled from the asking when I'm already vulnerable. And by putting my hand on my heart, the settling actually was not down, it was into kind of a withness. So that's like Kathy said, we're learning our body. I don't know how yours will respond, but my heart field wants a feeling of being with, not alone, not abandoned, to deal with that, what is ticking me. And so, like, when I put my hand on my heart, settle and strengthen is more of with, settling into the with feeling. I'm not alone. I'm with myself too. And the strengthening of the heart field, which is palpable, it's subtle, it's, but you can feel your own heart field with practice. It's like, I'm strengthening out. This,
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I love how you went with yourself because I think that's a beautiful way to like we want to our body, also our inner self. One of these I've noticed as I go with myself sometimes, there my mind can sometimes be very busy because I'm avoiding a feeling or an understanding. Like I don't like that reality, so I'm going to be really busy over here and not notice that, or I'm not going to feel that. So just having that understanding, like, oh, what am I if I the sand and the mud just stays really high, I will sometimes ask myself, is there something I'm avoiding? Because being with myself like that or being with my body is so I think it renews me. It gives me strength for the next journey, but next steps I'm taking. But if I can't get there, there's a frustration, like, "What is going on?" And my subconscious may be going, No, don't look at that. Let's be really worried about work tomorrow." Or maybe you didn't say that thing perfectly right at that meeting or whatever. But if I can just take a breath and go, "Oh, what maybe I'm avoiding. What am I avoiding?" That helps me turn towards the thing I'm avoiding. The more I try to avoid it, the busier my mind gets, the more stressed I can be. And when I'm like, "Oh, I just don't want to feel that." I've short circuited some of the noise. It doesn't mean I still want to feel it or face it, but I am at least aware what my brain is doing.
Before you have that awareness, is that, would you call that a settling kind of avoidance or an unsettling kind of avoidance?
Oh, I tend to feel more unsettled when I'm trying to avoid. I mean, my brain gets my brain like creates a white noise effect so that I won't notice things.
Even though I just love white noise,
Even if I just love white noise.
it's very unsettling sometimes.
Very unsettling sometimes.
My mind can create a lot of unsettled energy.
My mind can create a lot of unsettled energy.
And I'm in the process of learning how to settle and strengthen myself.
And I'm in the process of learning how to settle and strengthen myself.
Even though I'm not going to give up avoiding,
Even though I'm not going to give up avoiding.
that'd be stupid.
That'd be stupid.
I'm a lot of things,
A lot of
but
things.
I'm not stupid.
Stupid.
I want choice over what I avoid
I do want choice and awareness over what I avoid,
and to face it with subtle strength.
and to face it with subtle strength.
Top of the head. My mind can do so many things.
My mind can do so many things.
Eyebrow. But unsettled is a clue.
But unsettled is a clue.
Side of the eye. And I don't have to go there.
I don't have to go there.
I can still avoid.
I can still avoid.
But what if I did it while I was settling and strengthening?
What if I did it while I was settling and strengthening?
That would be different.
That would be different.
I'm open to exploring that.
I'm open to exploring that.
No promises,
No promises,
no requirement,
no requirement.
but it is sort of interesting.
But it is sort of interesting.
And I think I do it a lot of the time anyway.
And I think I do it a lot of the time anyway.
Now, notice what I did there. I don't know of a human that doesn't settle and strengthen at times. And part of the awareness here is like, oh, yeah, I could have gone screaming. And I didn't. What happened there? Oh, I settled. Enough of my nervous system got to a place where I was like, yeah, I want to remove this tick in a way that's savvy, right? And I'm not exactly sure how. I had to settle myself from like, into a place where those other things could come to me. And while, yeah, it's true, I'm aware because I've been using this expression settling and strengthening for about a year or so. Before that, calming and confidencing, they are very kin. They're both yin yang. You can play around with both of them. But we do it all the time. I got to get the prescription. I got there's a prophylactic dose of antibiotic. It's just one day, one take 2 pills. And it's recommended for my circumstances. But I got to the pharmacist and I had a discount card, right? And I said, hey, can I get a discount for it? And we walk over to the other counter. And I'm getting very unsettled as he takes my phone and starts copying it with a pen all the details from my prescription card. Now, there was definitely a part of me that wanted to say, what in the world are you doing? Fight reflex, like, I want to get home. I have a workshop. Don't you know how? Yeah, sorry. But I settled enough that I could go, I'm curious, how long do you think this will take? Oh, 10, 15 minutes? Yeah. It's a $15 prescription.
It's not worth it.
Not worth it. Said, oh no, I'll just go ahead and check out. We'll do it differently next time. Okay. And having to go back through all the questions again on the 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 terminal, right? There's like 19 questions and I had to go back through all of those again. What am I doing? I was not consciously settling. but I know in retrospect, yeah, yeah, he was that Rick guy. He was really holding himself together. He was settling, so he didn't just smash the terminal and didn't, just toss some cash out of his wallet in his face and walk out.
By the
Is
way.
this the level of idiocy right now, technologically, logistically, right now is just way past what my competence standard really enjoys. So I was actively settling and strengthening in clarity. It's like this is only going to be another minute or two. Pop, 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 pop. Yep, thank you. Bye.
I think it's
And
important to notice that every time you do that, every time there's a branch point and you can allow, there's times when I just cannot do it, but there's times when there's a branch point, I can choose one or the other. Every time I choose calm or settling myself, I'm building the neural pathways for that. And people that are very anxious, there's times when I judge there's people around me and probably myself too. I could, there's kind of a branch point and I choose ah, it strengthens that neural pathway. So the more we can do, like, okay, I'm going to calm down. Doesn't mean I can't have emotions about it, but I'm teaching my system. I have the skills. I'm building them. It's like, you went to the gym today and flex those muscles a little bit. And that's important.
right. And exactly. And so that's why a lot of people, when we talk about a real skill, they have such a high standard, like I was talking about for competence. But if you have high standards, welcome to our world. And part of that can be like, okay, where did I settle my energy in a pretty natural way? Like, oh, the universe is shaking me a bit, or my kids, or my boss, or life, or traffic. And you can feel the unsettling growing, can't we? Like, oh yeah, I'm getting more and more unsettled here. If you have the sensation of, yeah, okay, we're stuck in traffic here, you let yourself settle and you're like, I wonder what I can do. You're strengthening into options. And to me, we build on that by acknowledging, oh, that's what that is. It's settling and strengthening. It, if I make it just softly conscious that's a good look for me, yeah, settling and strengthening is a good look for me. Oh, I become more skillful. And this is one of the functions of coaching, it's one of the functions of community, is that by making some of these things that happen, we're really breaking the pattern of the only way to learn something is for mirror neurons. Because, when I'm driving in a car, running across good drivers is really rare,
and
right?
you're so shocked you can't pay attention.
Yeah, the local CVS is not where I go for, you know, profound competence. And if we're only able to mirror neuron with each other, we're really hindered. And that's why even acknowledging I've got so much aspiration to be settled and strong around all the shit that happens. I'm in it. I'm working it, it, and I know from recognition and reflection from the people that I live with that there's an appreciation. It creates more space. It creates more space to be like, oh, that's what he's doing there. He's settling himself. My
Well, the
kids
paradox is
notice,
great, but describing it as well is like now you have two avenues in.
right? Sometimes enthusiasm is too much for my nervous system. And so what I'll say is I'm going to go just take some space and settle my system. That's language in my home.
Yeah.
I It would be great if my kids pick up on this so naturally that by the time they're adults, they don't need to attend a real skills workshop. But I do think that the more that we're engaged deeply and creating in life, that there are things that are shaky and there are things that are uncertain, profoundly uncertain. Life happens, and I don't know anyone that hasn't. So that's where the utility of this is not just personal, it is everyone that we're connected to already benefits from the way that we settle and strengthen. By making it a bit more conscious, I'm saying this matters to me. It's a good look. It's a look I aspire to.
I want to build that neural.
And yeah.
Someone shared in the chat, and I sent a question back. So if you have details, you're welcome to share. But they're saying they can, do a lot of what we talked about, noticing breath, feeling body sensations, and it doesn't seem to have the same effect as what we're describing. I'm wondering, and I don't know if, I don't know the particulars. You're welcome to give us more detail. Sometimes what can happen is we have beliefs that are going on at the semi-conscious level. We're not really consciously aware of them. If we really thought about it, we go, "Oh yeah, that's happening." I'm thinking of an example. I was coming home from something, and I had a meeting that I had to be at that was supposed to start at 2 o'clock, and I was going to be like a minute late, and I was like so agitated. Like every time the car, like, there was a light or, I was really, I'm like, what is going on? And I texted the person and said they hadn't responded yet. I said, hey, I'm going to be a couple minutes late. And it wasn't, we have meetings a lot. Like it wasn't like deal killer, but in my brain, in my family, being late is a huge offense and it shows you're very incompetent. However, some of those beliefs, they're kind of like at between the subconscious and the conscious, they're kind of at the semi-conscious. We're not really aware they're happening. So it can help to say what is causing what do I believe or what do I think might happen that's causing me to be so agitated about this? Because really it wasn't. I've been on time for hundreds of meetings with this person. They're not super stickler. And I did text them, and by the time I got home, they texted no problem. Just jump on when they were not upset. But I spent like 20 minutes in intense adrenaline and agitation that was totally worthless. It did not get me home any faster, and I was just worn out because I had this looping belief in the background that, oh, this is insulting to that person. It shows I'm not competent. I didn't do enough. I didn't plan well enough. And life happens. Like in the Bay Area, traffic is a real thing. So I think sometimes, if you can look at, I'm wondering if that might be part of what's going on. If you're having trouble settling, it could be that you have this, our thoughts go through and we can say, oh, I'm having that thought. But if there's a subconscious belief that this means something, and if we can't grab it consciously, we don't have any leverage. We're just kind of flailing around in the water going, why am I getting sucked into this whirlpool? But if we can go, oh, there's a drain over here with this belief, and at least I can start swimming differently. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mhm. It does. And with a little more feedback from our participant, I there's a layer here that I haven't really talked about that I'm now vividly aware that the sensation as I describe it of that settling and strengthening. On one layer, it's I lay down on the ground or on my bed and I feel like my body, some of my muscles are relaxing. That's the kind of or sitting in the chair, I can feel an unclenching of physical tissue. I went through a long arc where I did not feel those things. I was dissociated from my body enough that if you said, you know, what's going on in your neck? Oh, it hurts. That's not a specific thing. Like here, I can say, well, this side is a little softer, this side's a little tighter. As I move to this direction, my neck wants to rock. These are physiological awarenesses. Body work, as well as there's lots of people that walk us through awarenesses of, hey, what's going on in your tissue? What's going on in that? And then there's practices like meditation for me, when you say, oh, how do you get out of a mind loop? So when I started meditating, the same thought just kept intruding, like, whatever it was, it would shift and change. But if I was worried about something or thinking about something or felt like there was an open loop, my brain's a lot like a CPU.
It will chew on her forever.
Only sort of idle. Like there's dead, the computer's off, no power, nothing's happening in the silicon. And then even when the lid is closed, it's busy, right? Billions of instructions a minute are going on when it's relaxed. My, yeah. So if I lie down and I have this part of the skill is, okay, what can I notice elsewhere in my body? Does the CPU still run? Yeah, but it may be getting less of the cycles. It's more of like, oh, that's happening in my body. It doesn't mean it's not there. I could I could I could list off a dozen things pretty quickly that are significant uncertainties in my world. They're they're completely accessible. I don't even have to open Finder and click on them, right? They're processes that are running. But the other part of this is there's an energetic, more sensitive aspect of the sensory system. In body work, things like craniosacral therapy. In the world of energy therapy, there are things like Reiki and other types of body work. Craniosacral was really good for me because what it meant was there's a rhythm in our body that isn't like a pulse. It's deeper, it's slower, and it moves very subtly on the order of microns. The craniosacral fluid is moving up and down the spine, and in our skull, we're actually flexing and extending in ways that are not visually obvious. And for a guy that's just trying to figure out why he's got a tension headache, that that would have been lost on me until I started noticing that a thought also has a loud tension to it, and it also can have a a flavor and a complexion of, oh yeah, that's there. Yeah, that's there. That's in my world. There's a wind outside, but it's not I'm very aware that there's a wind outside. I can't not be aware of that. And I want to be here with you. And so the energetics of like qigong and other things, unless, and visualizations of color and flow. There was a visualization, I think it's part of settling is cleansing too. Like I was sitting on a rock and I imagine opening up the bottom of my foot like it was one of those oil pans. And wow, the gook that came out, right? Energetically, just imagining it, ooh, wow. And and then it ran clear. And when you have that kind of sensation, visual kinesthetic sensation, well, now this this aspect of settling and strengthening isn't it is a relaxation. It's an unclench of mind and body and allowing our energy to be more fluid. There's a subtle fluidity. If you're not there, my my younger self could have a great conversation about where I was and 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 10 hours ago about the different levels of this. The cool thing is you take any of these levels and apply settling and strengthening to it physically, emotionally, energetically, thought field. So busy mind. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of the process of closing some tabs and doesn't get rid of the reality, but there's a quality of settling and strengthening. And then you can kind of rest in a place where you're settling and replenishing. You know that your energy has a feeling of, like, to me, replenishing something is strengthening. Cleansing something is strengthening. So,
When we get back from break, I want to talk more about the strengthening. But a couple of thoughts for what we were just saying. The person was saying that the feelings still swirl. Uh, Even after trying to settle, it doesn't truly settle. And I would maybe, if I was doing one-on-one coaching, I would probably say something like, was it unsafe for you to settle when you were little? Did it feel unsafe? And I know I had experiences where I was just relaxing or just feeling safe and something very scary happened. And so my nervous system kind of goes, oh, you were relaxing and look what happened, when it's not really related. So doing some tapping on that, or, just kind of being with that unsettled feeling like, oh, what's here? And it's uncomfortable to do that, just tapping and being with something. And I found that if I can just be with that discomfort for even a minute or two, I start getting new insights on that. And it is really hard to decouple and move through the thoughts we're having. Tapping's great, coaching's great. And in Buddhism, it's called a practice for a reason. You are practicing. You're not going to get it right. Some days are going to be better than others. And it's not like oh, now I've got it kind of thing. It's like, oh, I had it last week, but now I've lost it and I'm going to try to find it again. So.
Mhm. We're going to take a 7-minute break. We'll be back in 7 minutes. And feel free to use the chat during the break. And we'll continue with more on strengthening. We're back with Settling and Strengthening Real Skills Workshop. I have an exercise that I'd like to do at some point. You want to start with the strengthening thoughts that you had?
Well, I think that some people are sharing about how I want to just kind of, why is it? It's trying to comment on my comments. If we don't feel safe relaxing, it's hard to relax. Like, I love Carol. Look, I remember way back her tell like 20 years ago. Gosh, uh, wow. She was saying like, you look at is it safe to do? Like, if we're resisting something, we're trying to do it, and we're not getting there. Is it safe to do it? Do I deserve to do it? Those are like some basic questions we can ask ourselves. What do I think will happen if I do this? And I think that's worth spending a little time journaling with or being quiet with. Like, if I relax, what do I think will happen? Because in some families, it wasn't safe. For instance, my mom felt like everyone needed to be busy all the time. And if she saw you really relax, she was going to find something for you to do and probably poke at you at the same time. Or, just sometimes if we're in a place, in an environment that's not very safe, we learn that we have to be on guard all the time. And hopefully, people listening to this are in a much safer situation than they were when they were younger. So, those can be things that really get in the way of the hypervigilance, that built-in hypervigilance and the resistance to settling can be really hard. And those can literally be something we can strengthen doing this process. We don't have to settle all the way for it to be successful. If we can just settle a little bit, we can notice something we want to create on the other side of it. Do I want to just create some rest? That's something I've been focusing on because I don't let myself rest very much. It's like, oh, I was doing that, I'll do this. That's a break from that thing. But it's not like chilling out. Like, okay, I'm going to just rest. That's something I need to learn. So for some people, it might be like, oh, I notice I'm really anxious or my thoughts are going low. What can I do to oh, I'm noticing those thoughts. I'm settling myself and becoming more aware and then gently guiding myself to something different. And then creating a sense of safety for yourself is huge. And that is something that can take a while because there may be a lot of our nervous system is like, that's dangerous. I don't know how to do that. But sometimes repeating those, or noticing, I still do this to this day as I look around the room and I'm like, I'm in this clean, nice house, like clean today because it's Sunday. There's nobody here to threaten me. And I try to let that in. I let my eyes actually see that I'm safe because what can happen is when our nervous system is really worried, it will overlay an image, like an effect of like, oh, remember when it was really dangerous over what we're seeing. And I have to slow down and go, yep, there's no one else here and I'm safe. So creating strengthening a sense of safety could be a huge thing for you to do for yourself. And many of us women were, anyone raised female in our society was acculturated pretty much to take care of everyone around them and only rest when everyone was taken care of. And that's true for a lot of any gender, true. But I think our culture is very hard on women there. So if you feel someone said, I feel like a bad person if I rest or don't take care of the people around me, And I get that. Like if someone's like needing something in 3 rooms over, I'm like, I need to take care of it. And no, I don't. They're adults generally. If it's Dira, maybe I do run and help her because she's also cute too. So, but like if you notice your pattern, the first step is just noticing the busy mind, noticing the pattern. And then how can I shift it even a little bit? I don't have to fix it today to strengthen it. Does that how does that resonate with your thoughts about this?
So I'm a dad, and there's a lot going on here. I don't know many parents that's not true. I don't rest during the day, and it's not just a word choice. Let me apply settling and strengthening to taking care of myself. So I settle if my nervous system is shaky, loud noise, cleaning up 200 dishes, like
How did this get in here?
I have just taken care of people. There is nothing life threatening or earth shattering or ear splitting right at the moment that I need to tend to. If I said to myself, I'm going to go rest, but I'm not actually handing off the role of being the parent to someone else, that's not the state I can go into. But many times, if you again watched a movie, what's Rick doing there? I will tell the kids, I'm going to go reset my eyes. I'm going to go rest my eyes, I might say. But really, what I'm doing is I'm lying down and I'm allowing my body to settle. If you took my jar and you had it doing the dishes and you're moving it around like that, right? Like leaning over and everything else, whatever's in the jar is going to be moving around. And if you're a believer that if I'm clear and settled and strong, that's a better look for me in my world, taking a reset, taking a replenishment moment. Now, if I were lying down, and this is again how I believe that we have beliefs, but we also have frameworks. So the idea of resting, I'm not opposed to it. I love rest. But if I'm resting when I'm actually responsible for someone else, there's a jarring feeling. I'm trying to rest and you're waking me up. This is the grumpy cat version, or we have a grumpy bunny that just, like looks at you and I'm resting. You're interrupting me with your needs, which, I object to. Now, if I'm recharging, replenishing, resetting, I do that to my computer. I reset my computer when it needs a reset, right? Sometimes it goes like, yeah. Sometimes it needs to be recharged. Right now it's plugged in, but I often use it for hours and I plug it back in. I let it settle and kind of replenish. There's a strengthening that is happening when a computer is recharging, and there's a strengthening that's happening as I'm allowing my body to reset. The energetic difference, if you were to say, like, well, what are you not doing? I'm not actually disconnecting from, I'm in a role where I am responsive to other people, but I'm, I don't need to hang on everything that's happening. They're capable of playing on their own. When Adira was really small and we were someplace, I couldn't close my eyes and just,
You don't know what you'd be into.
what surprise is going to happen? But the settling and strengthening was I would sit and I would just feel myself starting to unclench parts of me that might have, there's a quality when you're tending to other people, whether they're 2 or, 82, there's there's a tension that builds up. Settling says, yeah, it's work. It's labor. It's emotional labor, it's physical labor, it's attention labor, it's even spiritual labor. And when you get worked up, there's a quality that says, "Oh, I I want to go to a place where I'm replenishing, recharging, refreshing." Sometimes settling and strengthening to me says, "Yeah, I'll read that book to you, but I need to go to the bathroom first." That's what I say to her. But as I walk to the bathroom, I'm kind of changing. I'm settling into, I'm changing roles from working on computer stuff for myself and my business to being a reader with my daughter by choice. I'm I may not like the consequences if I don't make a choice, but I'm settling into okay. And I'm walking to the bathroom. Notice I'm moving, I'm changing energy. I may not even use the toilet, but I might wash my hands,
Or your
right? That's
area.
that's not a bad, that's not never a bad thing. We learned that one. And so I'll wash my hands. I might then go get something to drink. What am I doing? I'm settling out of, we can settle out of one mode of being and strengthen into another mode of being.
Yeah, I think some people have
Eyes
this, and I settling is like this one state versus it's a continuum.
no. So I have a little exercise. If this would hurt your body, please adapt it or don't do it and just feel for it. When we think of someone who's strong, what is the imagery we get of a fist, right? So tell me, is that hand actually as strong as it gets? It might be as hard as it gets, right? But if you made a fist, not to hurt yourself, but then shake it out like, oh, like, ooh, shake it out and then let it settle. Now, notice my hands are shaking a bit still, just like the jar. When you're letting it settle, notice it didn't go boom. Oh, I have limp hands. No, no, I'm just settling and I'm feeling for strength. Now, notice for me, if I feel about strength, I explore my range a little. Oh, and there's a softening that's happening that can extend all the way. So you can even feel the tendons in your forearm settling and strengthening. Now, what we're doing, my hands feel much more ready for whatever life brings me. That took about 17 seconds. I went from this, and again, like I don't make many fists, and I'm just following my own intuition here. Notice my jaw just unwound. I didn't think of unwinding my jaw, but just by settling and strengthening my hands, and then wherever your hands are right now, just imagine your settled strength coming up and to your chest, maybe across your chest, and see if you as you tune into the center of your chest, what would that be if it was just a tiny bit more settled and a little bit stronger. Now, for me physically, I felt my shoulders expand. This part of my throat relaxed. My voice feels deeper and more resonant, like the tension in my chest is not hold keeping me from resonating at my frequency. Energetically, like emotionally, I feel much more resilient. Like if suddenly something went smash out in the hallway,
You'd be able to handle it better.
I'd be like, okay, I wouldn't even, I'm not, because I've settled and strengthened, I'm aware I have more capacity for whatever life gives me right in this. If the Zoom link failed, I feel like, oh, okay, well, I've got a phone, I've got other options. I'm closer to that edge, not all the way there, but closer to that edge, settling and strengthening, you'll notice, I'm pretty sure, that you feel more capable.
Mhm.
This does not make me feel capable. It feels like it's driving me toward the fight, toward the
Well, you're
fist.
also wearing out. You're using energy that won't be available, and you're tiring the ligaments and the muscles and the.
And this part of my brain is the part of me that makes a fist most often. Okay. It does. And when it does, shaking it out and relaxing it physio-energetically is what I need. And sometimes that's a, gravity reset, horizontal reset. And if we play around with parts of our body that maybe aren't the predominant parts where we hold, you know, unsettledness, you can play around with your pinky, with your thumb, your feet, stomp your feet around, and then notice what your body wants to do to settle. Shake yourself up, and then notice what your body does to settle. A lot of times, I was told to just sit down and shut up. Those are as black and white. I'm either sitting or not, and shutting up or not. But my body settles by wiggling in the chair, which you're not supposed to do in the classroom or during a board meeting. Okay. I had to learn, in the middle of a board of directors meeting for a venture funded company, you don't do this, settling is more subtle, but I had to develop the skill. Just like some people tap in their mind's eye in places where
Or
it's like,
suddenly under the table on your fingertips.
yeah, like, oh, I am totally tapping my collarbone right now because otherwise I I would I would lose it. And you don't have to physically do it to settle and strengthen into that. Energy field comes out, you feel broader. You may not have that sensation, but if you're settling yourself physiologically, more of you is going to be filling out. Those of us that are energy sensitive, when I'm watching someone settle and shift into another state, it's palpable to me how their energy field is changing. And where a body like, for example, my tailbone, my sacrum can be very unsettled by certain things that I object to in the world that existing. And that's why tapping of, this is unwanted and it's a reality. It allows my sacrum to settle. And as soon as it does, there's this energy field that starts extending out. Well, people react to me differently if I don't have a collapsed energy field along my spine and along my back. And that's something that I do with people in private sessions at times is feeling for where your energy field is unsettled and bringing some settled energy to it. You can do that physically, energetically, through tapping, through visualization. You can fluff up your energy field too and see about how that feels. All of that is settling energy and also strengthening our resilience, which is core to emotional freedom. As somebody, it's hard to walk in a world where there's so much that really is not at the level of safety and with people that are not at the level of safety that we would aspire to have close to us. And that's why we focus so much on group skills like this, but that also are very personally applicable to those of us that are walking the streets of a city, being in traffic, communicating in a workplace, engaging with other humans, parenting, you know, living in a world with with tragedies too.
Could we just do a little refusal tapping? Because I think so. There's for many of us, there's been that constant pressure to settle down. There's been the, and then the why am I not rejuvenated? Why do I have why do I don't feel strong? And I think sometimes just being able to voice it is really powerful. So if you'd like
Please
to,
do.
nice deep breath, karate chop. Even though I'm not going to settle,
Even though I'm not going to settle.
and you can't make me.
And you can't make me.
and I can't make me.
And I can't make me.
I'm still okay.
I'm still okay.
Even though settling seems very hard.
Even though settling can feel so hard.
I'm not sure I even want to try to do it.
And I'm not sure I always want to try to do it.
I wonder if it might be safer to settle now than it used to be.
I wonder if it might be safer now to settle than it used to be.
Top of that, it used to be a demand.
It used to be a demand
My
with
brother,
punishment behind it.
my bro, it pushed me so hard to settle.
It pushed me so hard to settle.
Side of the eye, and I felt like a failure.
And I felt like a failure.
And I don't like being told what to do.
I do not like to be told what to do.
Under the nose. And I'd like to be able to rest sometimes.
I would really like to be able to rest sometimes
It, it maybe strengthen some attributes I've been wanting to grow.
and strengthen attributes I want to grow.
Collarbone, I really don't want to settle.
I don't really want to settle.
Under the arm, but I feel like I'm settling down just a little bit right now.
I do feel like I'm settling down a little bit right now.
Top of the head, I'm not going to settle and you can't make me.
I'm not going to settle. You can't make.
And maybe I'll settle just a little bit anyway.
I think I'll settle a little bit anyway.
Just take a breath. And if you did notice yourself, I think again we tend to be black and white. Am I settled? Am I not settled? And it's a continuum. It's like gradual. And even if you can come down from 100 to 99, you're teaching your nervous system that it's okay to do this. You're like helping yourself do that. And I find refusal tapping works really well for me often. I'm not going to go to bed. You can't make me. Oh, now I'm really tired. So if you're feeling a lot of resistance, Rick has some great tapping on Thriving Now for refusal tapping. And I used to listen to that all the time. Tap along. It was so helpful. So if you're feeling a lot of resistance, that and it could be I don't deserve it. It's not safe to. You can throw in whatever feels the best for you. Oh, Rick put it in the chat. No, you can't make me. So someone said, I don't want that. I'm saying I don't want to settle because I don't want you to hear me, see me, listen, and understand.
Because I don't want to settle because I want you to hear me, see me,
Oh, sorry.
listen,
Perfect.
understand.
Yeah. If you don't feel like you will be heard or seen, it may be that your parent or caregivers only saw you when you were in crisis mode. And I think if we can settle and be with ourselves and teach ourselves a different pattern. I really like it now when I don't have to be in a crisis mode for people to hear me and see me or, understand what I'm doing. I think that people that are very dysfunctional or very low resource, that's often the case. They're only running from, oh my God, that's the biggest fire, so I'm going to fight that. That's all I have energy for. So they're not paying attention to the other things that are going on. And I found that as I've healed and grown and chosen different people to hang out with, there's a lot better way of like getting attention. Just going up and say, "Hey, I'd like to talk. Are you up to listening?" And not having to do that. And it's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. But just to kind of throw out there that if your belief is that's the only way you'll be heard, of course you're not going to want to get rid of it. You're going to want like, "Oh no, then I'll be silenced. I won't. No one will see me." That would be really tough.
Yeah. I it's a tender thing because we want to be heard and seen and respected and understood for where we actually are. And for those of us that don't want to pretend that things are hunky dory, oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm good. Can you tell the fake look on my face? But that's fine for you. As long as I'm good, you're fine. And I have such a deep craving, and I recognize that, a lot of people can't go there. And in my family, the person that was suffering the most got more of the attention. And that was a trap for me. And also, it was freedom to understand that, there are people I love that are good people, that if there's a crisis, they really come through.
But
But
otherwise,
what do I do when it's not a crisis and I still want them to to listen and know me and feel like we're resonant together. That's a hard one, probably a subject for a lifetime of work. But
Well,
if I settle and strengthen, apply to that, it's like, oh, yeah, I know that if I had screamed about the tick last night, I could have very easily had two adults and two kids immediately by my side.
mm,
I, I know people that if they screamed in the middle of the night, they wouldn't necessarily get that, or that they would not get help, but would get punished. And I I know those states, and somewhere on the spectrum of screaming to, like, my voice was not just, "Hey, I could really use your help with a tick." That was no, 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 no. It was I I could really use your help with a tick on my leg. Now, I I recognize that there are people that that voice would not have come out.
they
The
wouldn't.
request never would have been made. There are people that love me that are would not have gotten that real and raw ish reveal of, I really could use it with this tick. I'm grateful that those of you that I know on this call and know well, I feel like I can be real as I've been sharing here. This conversation would be very different if I was talking to my neighbors. Like, "Yeah, kick on my leg, you know, I hate that. We need to get ourselves some chickens, like those ticks, right? Like, yeah, give me a beer."
Well, I,
I'm in a mood.
oh, it's great. But you're talking what you're talking about is kind of like different ways we can interact. But someone said that they were told to they told us to fake it till you make it, and I grew up with that as well. But I found that I didn't relax when I did that. I actually, because I know I'm living a lie. I know I'm feeling a lie in my body. So I can practice that's different from fake it till you make it. So trying to pretend you're settling and strengthening to me is counterproductive. I'm actually going away from it. So just a thought to share there in case it's helpful.
Well, and I appreciate that we are the type of group that can talk about, like, yeah, we can do the work. And I think that fundamentally is the wisdom for me on in this workshop is I do the work to settle and strengthen. My hope is that that helps other people, and it certainly helps me. And I recognize that no matter how settled and strong state of being I am in, there are some things in life that just shake us. And when I get shaken, I can know that, yeah, part of the picture here is to be responsive, maybe even reactive, but that my intention is to settle and strengthen in my system. And that does not necessarily mean that I'm actually safe with a person or in a situation or in a dynamic. And it's not faking for me to settle, to to choose how I reveal my unsettledness and to whom. That and that includes my even more subtle cries for help, which are real. I'm human. And to me, emotional freedom work has given me much more savvy with who, what, when, and why it matters to me to share or to withhold. I can withhold because I can tend to this myself. There were times yesterday where I would have just said, "Hey, do you know where the tick thing is? I got to get one off." And that would have been where I was, would have been my settled and strong thing.
And sometimes it's not.
Uh,
We don't have to be in the same
We
position all
don't
the
have to be in the same place all the time. We're not going to be. I hope that this is useful. We'd love to hear from you. Support at thrivingnow.com if there's anything here that your own insights and your own practices show like, ooh, this is something that worked for me. Out in the Thriving Now .center, you can even add your comments and experiences for how you've applied it if you want to. And that would be a delight for me, but it's not certainly required. So thank you, Kathy. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Happy settling and strengthening.